Broad topics, broad minds, broad hosts, but not just for broads. This is Broadscast with Kim Goldman and Jackie McDougall.
Today on Broadcast, we are all about the dads. We've got 3 candid, outspoken dad bloggers in our studio joining our conversation. So please call us at 661-298-5487.
Plus, Kim's dad, or as you like to say, Daddy.
I know.
Daddy. Fred Goldman is joining us for our Broadcast Father's Day special. So, you know what? Let's just get into it.
Okay.
Let's just do this.
Hi, Dad. Are you on the phone?
Hi, sweetie. How are you?
Okay. You're so cute.
Do you really call him Daddy still?
I do call him Daddy.
That's the cutest thing ever.
Yeah, I know. I mean, he's my daddy.
Yeah.
It's not
Hi,
like a
Fred.
who's your daddy
How are
kind of
you?
thing. It's just a daddy.
Fine. How are you? And
Good.
by the way, I love to be called Daddy.
Aw. Well, you know, she's a cutie pie. So
Not in a weird, creepy way. Yeah.
No, but, you know, it's not only is he your dad, which, of course, is why he's here, but, you know, he is known around the world for being a dad who's not going to give up, a dad who's, you know, seeking justice and in your brother's memory, and the two of you together, it's just, you know, you've both been so inspiring. And he's known, he's kind of, you know, Fred, you're kind of America's dad in some ways, you know? And
Wow, that's pretty heavy to put the drop on me, but thank you.
well, no, I mean, it doesn't give you any extra responsibility, but the thing is you know, not by your own wishes or plans have, you know, stood up when others would be afraid to, and you've never given up. And it's just been inspiring to all parents, to all people, what you will do for your children.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And the reality is I think tons and tons of dads, hundreds of thousands, millions of dads would do similarly. We happen to be in the limelight and caught it.
You know, but Dad, I think, you know, I was speaking last night to a group of women, and one of them asked me about Sam, and you know, I said one of the things that I learned from you, regardless of what happened to Ron, is that you really taught me about family and loyalty and commitment. And I, without getting too personal, I know that your relationship with my grandfather wasn't so great growing up. But how did you know how to do it differently than what your dad did with you?
It's funny you should use those terms. I guess in some ways I made a decision at some point that I was going to do the reverse of what occurred with my dad. So that's what I did, and it seemed much more natural and seemed certainly much better, and to do it in a loving, caring way.
I mean, you know, you were a single dad, you know, back in the 70s, and you know, and continued on being that. And before it was, you know, single dads now, they have a lot more resources, I think, and a lot more awareness. And you know, was it takes a village, or did you feel like you were on your own? And how did you handle that?
It was strange because back in those days, so to speak, it was unusual for a man to have custody of his kids. I was very fortunate and very lucky to have that happen. I can't even imagine what it would have been if it hadn't happened like that. But I was lucky. No, there were no resources. It was very unusual for dads to have custody of their kids. Whenever I mentioned they had custody of their kids, they looked at me like I was some oddball because it was always mom, the woman who had custody of the kids, regardless of whether it was the appropriate choice or not.
Well, and you were a working dad, and we, you know, I joke about this in my book that we had housekeepers. That was the old-fashioned way of saying nanny.
Right.
But you did in some way have people to help. I mean, you had to pay for it. But I mean, I have to tell you, Dad, that I know you hate when I thank you for being the dad that you were to Ron and I, because you always say that you didn't have a choice, but I absolutely think that you did. You fought super hard to have Ron and I in your full custody. So I appreciate that. And I know how hard you work, and I never felt like I got shortchanged at all. So, but I have one quick question. You brought up something over the weekend about double standards with Ron and I, and you said they didn't exist until what happened? And we have 2 minutes, so talk
no
fast,
double
Papa.
standards until the day you, my sweet daughter, came to me and told me that you thought you needed a bra.
So it's the
And
boobs.
it- Yeah, and in that millisecond, there was
Which
a
is
double
surprising
standard.
because I don't think she does it yet.
Yeah, I still don't need a bra. Yeah, it's funny. Okay, so double standard is when I had boobs is basically when it changed for you.
And how did it change?
Well, because suddenly it was the realization that, this was not just one of my kids, this was a girl. And, all the rules suddenly changed, became much more protective, aware that there was all these boys hanging around, lecherous little kids. So I had to protect my daughter from all those little animals, and so suddenly it was a double standard.
Did you let Ron get away with stuff that Kim could never?
I don't know about get away.
Yes.
No, I don't think so. I think the basic rules were the same. Tell the truth, do the right thing. If you get in trouble, fess up, etc. And those rules were the same for everybody.
Yeah.
Dad, we joke about living in a different house sometimes with what I remember and what you remember, and it's all about perception. But one thing that does not get lost on me is that, and I asked you this when Sam was born, but you created a very safe space for Ron and I to truly tell you whatever was going on with us. We feared you appropriately because you were the strict disciplinarian, but you also just opened up dialogue and communication and conversation about anything, and I always felt incredibly safe. So I don't know how you managed to do all that, but thank you. Thank you for doing that for Ron and I. And I'm being given the cue to go to break, so I just want to tell you that you are my most favorite person, and the impact that you have left on my life and Ron's life is a legacy that I get to teach to Sam. And so thank you for all the gifts that you give to me in my 43 years. So happy Father's Day, Daddy.
And thank you, sweetheart. It was easy to be loving and caring to two great kids.
Okay, Dad.
You got me all choked up.
Okay, no, we got to go, Dad. I'll talk to you later. I love you.
Happy Father's Day, Fred. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. When we come back, it's a dad invasion when 3 popular dad bloggers join us in the studio. We're taking your calls, 661-298-5487. Welcome back. We're taking your calls, 661-298-5487. We're sharing a mic today.
It's very
I feel like we should...
Whoa.
Feels like I'm like a little flash, like something. It just got awkward. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Lots of testosterone in here. That's weird.
Wow,
Sorry.
okay.
It just got awesome.
It's a little dad invasion happening here. All right, we've got some very, very cool guys, and I say that because they're sitting here. Andy from HowToBeADad.com.
Hello.
You and Charlie are like taking the interwebs by storm.
Yeah, there's a lot of storms and acts of God.
And Whit Honea, and it's not Honea for the rest of you who, like me, who thought it was.
That's right.
And I think that your blog is perfect because it's the Honea Express, and so I'll never forget again.
It's clever once you know how to pronounce it.
Exactly. And David Vienna, also known as the Daddy Complex.
Yes, that's me.
Yeah, and we have to, before we do anything, get into the name of your book without saying the name of your book in its entirety.
Yeah.
What is that?
Should I attempt to say it?
Calm the bleep down.
Calm the F down. Yeah.
The only parenting technique you'll ever need.
Yes, it is the only parenting technique.
Did that stem from a post?
Yes, the CTFD
I remember.
method.
Yes.
Yeah. It went a little crazy, and so we turned it into a book.
The CTFD method.
Yeah.
So when all heck breaks loose in life, that's the method.
Yeah, I mean, it really can be applied to anything, but especially parenting.
Yes, I
You
love
know.
it. I love it.
I brought a copy for you, too.
You did?
Yeah.
Are you going to sign it and everything?
I can.
Look, so
We're
we're
gonna
on the
read the whole
YouTubes
thing.
up there too. So
Read the whole thing.
Yeah, I was
I
going to say.
don't know if you're going to show the cover because, I don't know
well, we
who's
can't on
watching.
YouTube because
All
there's
right.
no. Yeah, I'll have to walk over to that camera. Look at that. That's awesome. Thank you.
Sure.
Hey, so you guys are all bloggers, social media stars. How do you go from like I'm just living my life, doing my job, got married? You're all married.
Mm-hmm.
Have kids, and suddenly you're.
How'd you know
doing
you had a
this.
voice as being?
But how did you even know to go for it?
Nobody can shut me up. I was already doing it. I would have been doing it. Or actually, that's how Charlie found me, was because I was going crazy on Facebook. And he was like, wow, look at this spaz. Maybe I could get him to do it for me. No.
How do I get that guy to make me money?
No, but actually, it's true. He saw me sort of like, I guess, what people would call microblogging, and also saw all of my Photoshop skills because I do stuff for my kids. And
That's skills with a Z, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. To pay the bills, without the Z.
Right.
Just the plain old regular bills.
Were you blogging before about parenting, or?
Oh, no. And actually, when he approached me and said, "Hey, let's do a dad blog," I was like, "What's that?" And then he showed me, and I was like, "No." And he said,
Charlie
"No."
can be persuasive.
Well, no. What he did, he sold me perfectly. He said, "We're not going to do that. We're not going to do it like this. So we would do it differently." And that's why it would be very cool. And I said, as long as it's weird. And he was like, exactly. So
It is weird.
Did you have to
Yes.
convince
Yes.
your wife to let you?
oh, not at all.
No?
She
Did you
was
say to let you?
to let me. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
There's a fair share of that in the relationship.
Yeah.
I think in any relationship.
Yeah, but the wife never admits to that. We're
What?
like, well, he doesn't need my permission.
I think her
You know?
total lack of familiarity with what a blog is, kind of like, it was like, oh, you're doing this thing with this
Right.
guy, okay?
Right. Have
Like
fun,
fishing,
sweetie.
except not as manly.
So you were working a regular job and doing your
Yeah.
thing, and so do you still have that going on and the blog and all of that? Like,
Yeah.
when do you sleep?
Don't. That's why I have a 32-ounce iced Americano right here.
Well, I know they should totally sponsor us. And so, what about you? I mean, you were married with the kids when this happened for you too, Whit?
Yeah, I started a blog basically because for myself and for my family to kind of keep them up to speed on what was happening. I'm moving around.
You could
Sharing of the mic.
Yeah.
As a very personal thing, and then the audience kind of built up around that because there wasn't a blogging community, parenting community, especially for dads.
Yeah.
When I started, I've been doing it for over a decade.
Wow.
And things started to come around, and all of a sudden I found myself doing it for other bigger sites as a job, and I was able to leave my day job and apply myself to that full time. And that's what I've been doing for a decade, which is why my site doesn't have very much on it because I write everywhere else.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, we found that with us too. We're doing that.
Yeah.
We had a guest on. We have 1 minute. We have a guest on a couple weeks ago that tried to join a mom's group because he didn't feel that he had any resources from men. I mean, do you feel like you're filling that gap and providing those men with resources that they don't otherwise have?
In a virtual sense, I think we're providing an opportunity for people who want it to be a part of a community. And there's a lot of support and a lot of questions and a lot of goofiness. But at the same time, there's something to be said for being in real life with people as well, which
Right.
I don't know that the internet can yet. I don't know if the internet can do that yet.
So, what kind of audience though? Is it men? Your actual audience?
I think I can speak for all of us,
Yeah.
really, that
Mine is mostly Taiwanese teenagers.
Right.
I don't know why. I think it's Tumblr.
Okay,
K-pop.
I have to say this because we were talking before of how when you don't know, it's like what we were talking about before. I was giving a background on us, and and how you bring topics up not knowing the background of. My daughter's from Taiwan,
Maybe she reads my blog.
so it must be her and her friends, her peeps. Yeah.
you should follow David on Snapchat.
Oh my.
Full circle, people. All right, so we will be right back. Please stay tuned. 661-298-5487. You're listening to Broadcast.
Welcome back. You're listening to Broadcast. We've got Andy Herald from How to Be a Dad, Whit Honea from the Honea Express, and David Vienna from the Daddy Complex. Or you are the Daddy Complex?
Or you have one.
I mean, yeah.
I'll
And I'm
answer to
following
anything.
other-
So yeah, even curse words.
But you live up here
Yeah.
in the suburbs of Los Angeles.
I do.
Yeah?
And we came from the West Side.
Were you was your
I don't know the gang sign for that.
were you forced up here like the rest of us when you saw you had children?
I like to look at it as an opportunity to come up here. We
Do you?
Well, we like it. We live, with kids. It's great out here for kids.
Yeah, it is.
And where we were before, just to get to a park, we had to get in the car and drive. And here we can just open the front door. So and it's the way I grew up.
You live in a park?
We live near a park.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And in park-like settings.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So I love on your blog that you include your kids, Wyatt and Boone, right?
Yeah.
Do you have to get permission for them? Are there things that they're like, Dad, no way, don't put that on there? Are they too young for that? Or are they game for anything?
The conversations I often have with them, especially for the videos we do, is they now that they've seen them and they like them and they understand what it means, I have to rein them in from like hamming it up too much.
Yeah,
and
I
I can
noticed that.
hear them
Yeah.
like working on bits, and I'm like, guys, no. We're not doing that bit. Like, let's just be natural. So they think they're like, what, Martin and Lewis now, like killing it with the comedy. So I'm a comedy coach for them.
That's funny.
Yeah.
They should be, they'll be working for you. I talked to my kid yesterday, he's 11, about, he plays all those games, and now you've got a 12-year-old. And Sam, Kim's got an 11-year-old. So you got, the video games, it's crazy, but he's going to levels and finding coins and doing things that, he's like number 4 on a game in the country, I think. Like,
Really?
my kid is whack. So I realized yesterday, I was like, is there an app that will show his iPad, but here, like the audio from him and the video of the iPad, where he's actually playing the game? Because I'm like, I could make money off this kid.
There's actually a whole series of videos of like actual gameplay, right? Isn't it? This is a thing.
The biggest YouTubers, the biggest YouTuber is a gamer. He's a Let's Player, where it's a little pip, a little picture-in-picture of him playing games and being this Swedish, charismatic freakazoid.
My kids watch those all day long.
Yeah.
Really?
They will sit there and watch videos
Yeah.
of somebody else playing Minecraft.
So does mine.
Yeah.
So does mine.
You're getting
Totally
a little.
obsessed.
I feel like we should kiss.
See what I'm saying? Right? I wasn't far off.
Well, Kim, we have to address the elephant in the room
Make it
because
sloppy.
yeah.
This is radio.
we are the radio station. KHTS is moving, as we speak. So right outside this door, there are movers picking furniture up, and so you may hear bangs and such. But they packed some of the mics. That was the best part. I was like, we've got 3 guys coming in. Do we have 5 mics? And they're like, about that. So we've got you guys
We're swapping spit at this point.
In some countries, you're actually technically married.
I'd rather share a mic than a chair, so this is okay.
That comes later when the movers
Yeah.
take the chair.
That's after segment 3. I'm
I'll
sorry.
be sitting in your lap and telling you what I want for Christmas.
So I have a question. So do you guys ever get bored with what you do? Honestly, no one's listening. So just tell us what you really think. No, but do you ever get bored? You feel like you have a lot of responsibility and you have a lot of things you have to live up to, and other days that you just want to, like in parenting, some days we just want to not do it because it's exhausting.
It's funny that Jackie brought up the gaming thing, because I'm I don't know where this is going, because I'm subscribed to those Let's Players and
Really?
stuff like that.
So
I
you can
watch-
pay my kids college tuition?
Yeah. I'll give them some ad revenue, that's for sure. And last night I was up till 2 o'clock in the morning playing Grand Theft Auto because a hacker gave me $100 million. So I was buying some Lamborghinis and whatnot. So
Can't you buy prostitutes or something on that thing?
I don't think you can buy human beings.
Oh,
but there are
yeah.
prostitutes in the game, but let's move on. But the reason why I brought that back up was, for me, I've always gamed. The website to me.
And yet you got married.
Yeah, twice. Maybe that explains the first one. The website and the creative process for me is like a game. Like seeing the interaction, the metrics, the analytics and stuff like that, shares. I'm always trying harder and stuff like that. So it's never boring, but sometimes it's frustrating because it's like, oh, I really want this to do well, and
Isn't it amazing, though, what sticks? You'll
Oh, my
put
God.
something up, and you're like, oh, I have an infected toe, and all of a sudden it goes viral. Like,
Yeah.
how do you...
Literally.
You can't
Sadly.
even predict sometimes what it is. Has that happened to you guys, where you wrote something?
That you thought was
You
amazing.
didn't know CTFD would go viral. I
I
don't
had
think.
no idea when I wrote it. And I wrote it kind of...
Just a reminder that CTFD is calm the bleep down.
Yes.
It's a whole method of parenting.
that spawned the book, and yeah, I didn't know when I posted that, and that first weekend, just seeing it go, the hits tick up, and my wife and I were just kind of staring at each other with our jaws open,
Right.
we didn't know.
But some people didn't like it. They
Yeah.
were not pleased.
Yeah, I think then.
I didn't like it.
Yeah, Whit's not a fan.
Oh, are you that man, that commenter?
You were that guy.
you.
Yeah, that was you.
I think the
Troll 412.
Right, that's you.
Yeah, some publications kind of tore it apart, but that means you're doing it right.
Right.
Yeah.
Does
Right.
it alter the way that you write the next post or the next article? Do you take those things into consideration?
Every time I do, it bombs. So
Yeah.
I try not to recreate, the magic that happens. I just try to do stuff that I like and that I'm entertained by. And usually the stuff that I'm most honest about is the stuff that other people identify with the most.
And, go ahead.
I was going to say that brings up a good point. Conversely to something going big that you don't realize is going to go big is when you write something you think is going to be awesome and it's crickets.
Yeah.
When you
Right.
put
Yeah.
all this time into something, you're like, this is going to be great.
Like the show?
I'm sure the show already has many more followers than anything I put out there, and that's frustrating too because you put so much time into something and you're confident in it, and then nobody reads it or responds to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm always tempted to take those down. Like, didn't exist, didn't happen. Like, take those articles
Yeah, yeah.
down, and then nobody knows. That
Yeah, but
I
look what
bombed.
happens. The dad bod thing was written like way before. Remember the dad? The dad bod. 19. We had her on 19-year-old girl who wrote about it in college, and
It got picked up a while later.
Yeah. So we will be right back with these fabulous guys and also some broad topics. We're going to throw out some topics for you guys to chew on. We'll be right back on KHTS. Back.
Oh, sorry. We won't pay attention.
We would look at, there's so much happening during the break. At some point we have to get on Periscope and show you people what's happening.
We were talking about the birds and the bees.
We were.
I have. So
Were we?
We all have boys. I have a boy. All different age ranges.
Out of all 5 of us, there's one daughter.
Is that right? Who? Yours?
That's
right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So all different age ranges. I think. What's the youngest? 5.
My
6.
twins are 6.5.
Okay, so 6.5 up to 12. So birds and the bees. When do you think it's appropriate to start? How do you talk to your boys?
We've already started.
Okay, so what was that conversation like?
It wasn't even a conversation. It's just the topic came up. I answered the question, and then we moved
What was
on.
the question?
It was the where do babies come from kind of thing, and so I just
Taiwan.
for some, I
Done.
hear, but I decided to just not get all sweaty about it and just say, look, there's a sperm and it fertilizes an egg and then a baby can grow and answered it, and then we moved on to why do chickens make that noise? It just keeps
Yeah.
going. For them, it wasn't.
Wait. Do you know why chickens make that noise?
They're angry.
Oh.
Yeah, they're getting their feathers plucked. Yeah.
But that was and because of that, anytime it comes up, it's more comfortable for me to just answer it than sit them down and dim the lights and it doesn't have to be that big of a deal.
Right. Have your smoking jacket.
Yeah.
Put on Barry White.
Yeah.
That's just weird.
This is how
right?
it starts.
That's creepy.
What about
Yeah.
you?
Sorry.
I'm not planning on having that talk with them. That's why we have HBO.
Wait, but you have a 12-year-old. Things have come up.
You know,
Literally. Nobody? I'm the only
Phrasing.
he's a very innocent 12-year-old, and he's not. We have discussed it because there have been things that have happened at school where that has become a conversation, and it's something that we had to touch on at home and make sure that he was on board with that bigger conversation and
Right.
he understood the context. But he really isn't interested in any of the logistics. He's not interested in dating or girls, or he's interested in Minecraft videos and the cat. And
So at some point, you could actually create a video using Minecraft, like Steve and friends, right?
Right,
And
exactly.
and then have him watch that, or watch someone else playing that.
Well, wait, he plays Minecraft, right?
he does play Minecraft.
Okay, so his understanding of sexual intercourse is that you throw hay at your lover,
Yeah.
and then you throw hay at yourself, and then
Is that how you make?
That's how you make breed
that's where
cows.
babies come
Really?
from. Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
You throw hay in Minecraft?
Yeah,
Well, you feed hay. I mean, you right click.
Yeah.
I'm still going to use that later with my husband. Hey, baby, want to go upstairs and right click?
Right click some hay at me. Oh, isn't it romantic?
Oh my gosh. I know he's listening right now and he's just like so into that.
Well, as being the single mom in the room, I don't have, my son doesn't have a dad
any
present
friends?
in his life yet. We can take that show later. So my son and I have these conversations about where all the body parts go and how things grow and where hair grows and all that stuff. Do you feel like that's easy for you because you're a man, or is it just still awkward no matter what because it's your kid? Does your wife want that role? Like, I'm totally fine with it. And if I don't know, my son will ask me a question. I'm like, I don't have a penis. I don't know. I'm going to go look it up. Or I just go with it, like you said, I don't make a big deal about it. I just say what it is, and then we move on. And he looks at me usually and says, too much information, and then we go on to the next topic.
David and Whit are going to vouch for the fact that I have absolutely no filter. So I've never had that, like, oh my God, we're having the birds and bees talk. It's like, I've never had like an intensive talk where it's like, we're going to sit down and we're going to talk about this. There's been the where do babies come from, and then also more of the procreating conversations are different in a kid's mind. From my experience, from the relationship stuff, like liking girls is a bit separated from putting the penis in
Or
the
boys.
vagina and
let's
making
not draw a line.
or boys exactly.
Oh, that's a good. Do you
those
teach
who-
them that it's like? I mean, for at home at our house, I say when you get married, there's one rule that that person has to be kind to you. Like, how do you, I mean? We live in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Do you teach them from a young age, like, hey, if it's a girl, if it's a boy, if it's
I do that like even before it became issues of romance, with just because friends can be pretty terrible too.
Right.
I've been like that about any human interaction. Is just choose your friends wisely,
Right,
or don't
right,
choose
right.
them.
But you guys are pretty open with kids. It makes me sad when you hear some, across the country and kids are in the closet or have other feelings that they can't even express to their parents, and then they're, committing suicide because the parents are so,
Right.
unaccepting on their differences.
My boys have grown up with gay uncles, and it's something that has
Done.
never even raised an eyebrow.
Right.
That's the way life is. That's how people are. Everybody loves who they want to love and who they love, and
Yeah.
as you said, be kind.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the best way. Sorry, I totally took it down.
You can take it down.
So how do you guys compare to your own dads in parenting?
In under 2 minutes.
It depends on
we have
the
to-
topic, I guess. I mean, in some ways I'm a lot like my dad, in some ways I'm a lot like my mom, and in some ways I'm a lot like Buster Keaton. I try to draw the best from, my parents.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you grow up going like, I'm not going to be like him?
Yeah, I mean, I think every, I don't know if I'm speaking out, this makes sense or not, but I feel like every boy has a period where they just don't like their dad, and I'm waiting for that period because I went through it and stuff like that. But then as I got older and I realized my dad and I did have a lot in common and stuff, it was easier. But yeah, teen years, I think every person I knew, every boyfriend of mine had a period where they didn't like their dad.
Right. What about you, Whit?
I think that my dad and I have a lot of similarities in terms of being open and communicating. However, my open and communicating is a lot more open than his. Right. He's from a different time, a different mindset as far as politics and religion and things like that, we don't see eye to eye on anything.
His car is steam powered.
Right. For instance, the book I wrote is about parenting, and when my dad read it, he set it down and he said, "Is this about me?"
Yes.
No, I don't know why you would ever think that. What about you, Andy?
My dad, I left school when I was 13 and did homeschooling and tutoring and worked for the family business. So I have an interesting relationship with my dad where I had frustrations that were not normal for like the parent-child relationship.
Right.
And prior to that, he was like a workaholic and stuff like that. So I liked the fact that I had those memories with him because he just would have been lost in work and I wouldn't have had any connectivity with him. So, but I think that if we weren't, this is an interesting question to pose to anybody, if we weren't father and son, we'd be friends still.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's nice.
Well, we will be right back. We have to take another break. It's so
Now I feel like
unfair.
lighting the candles now.
All right, we're still going to throw some broad topics at you when we come back.
All right, we are back, and I've always said that the breaks are much more fun than what we do on radio. We need to flip it somehow. Okay, so question for you, because that's what we do on radio. We ask questions. What about parenting was the most shocking for you? Like, is there one thing that stands out? You're like, oh my God, I did not prepare for this, or holy crap, what am I doing?
I don't know. For me, it's like a constant series of shocks, and so I'm now numb.
Right.
I was a work-at-home dad for the first almost 2 years of my twins' lives, and I had like a nervous breakdown like twice a week. So now I'm just kind of like when I look up and my boys are trying to surf down the stairs on a mattress, I'm like, guys, come on, like
You're doing
what's
it wrong.
Yeah. Well, no, yeah. Let me show you how to
me
stand.
show you.
You got to put your front foot down.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, the diaper stuff really freaked me out. What you find in a diaper, but I mean that's as close as I could get to like a single shock. It was mostly just a series of attacks on my psyche.
I think my biggest shock actually was the emotional commitment and all of that. Like the minute my first son was born, it hit me and like, holy cow, my parents feel this way about me. I need to call them, hey, you're a grandparent and I am sorry for everything, and that has continued. It surprises me the depths of that without bringing down the room too much. Right? But
That's
it's
okay.
a serious
Yeah,
thing.
that's awesome.
Well, let's bring it down here.
What about marriage, though? I mean, how has your marriage changed? And now that your kids are like, because Andy, your son is how old? 6 as well?
Well, I've got 3.
You have 3.
Yeah, I have a 16 and a 14-year-old and a 6-year-old.
Oh.
Yeah. So when I started, what Whit said, just to keep it short, and then also like the sleep deprivation. Let me say something more to what Whit was talking about. I was never a worrier, sort of like an adventurous kid and kind of cavalier and like, I'm going to live forever, or even if I'm jumping off this tree and stuff like that, like real dumb stuff. But then when I had my first, then I actually had somebody that I worried about. Didn't worry about like anybody in my life, something happening to them, even with like experiences like people getting into car accidents or getting cancer and dying and being like, wow, that could happen to anybody. But I just never worried about it until like being somewhere else from my home and being like, there's a little human being and I have my attention sort of like tethered to how this person is doing. So that was a new thing. And then the sleep deprivation. Nobody told me about that. My first son. Oh,
Yeah. Are
He
you
owes
still
me.
making him feel guilty?
I've always said that, like, people talk about being exhausted being a parent. I am mentally exhausted, not physically,
Right.
because my brain is always like, okay, be a role model, be honest, say right things, say smart things, like always teachable moments. And I think for me, that's what's mentally exhausting, because sometimes I forget that my little person is around me. And not that I'm going to leave him in the car, but I just mean that sometimes I forget that I am responsible for raising a human, and I have to be careful with what I say and what I role model for
I don't
him.
think about those things, so it's just the physical exhaustion for me.
I know what you mean about the mental thing, and I've landed on this really magic thing where, when I come home from work, the boys want my attention, and I'm, just mentally exhausted.
Yeah.
And so I've found that if I say, hey, let's go play Legos, and I zen out while I'm building Legos,
Yeah.
and they're building, and so it's time spent with them, but I get to shut off that part of my brain, and like it counts as father-son time.
I do the same thing but with drinking.
Yeah, drinking also. I didn't mention that part. I'm making a Lego whiskey
Beer with-
tumbler.
Are you? Does it leak?
Well, I haven't perfected it, so I'm still working on it.
It's funny with the Legos. My son is obsessed. His whole office is all Lego, everything Star Wars. He doesn't want me to build them with him. He wants to prove to me how quickly he can do it. We get the bigger the sets and how fast, and then he shows me, and then it just goes up on a shelf.
And it's like $2,112.
And he's like,
I
seriously.
mean,
Oh my
it's
God.
like, what? Why?
That's his college
They're
tuition right
blocks
there in
with,
my office.
once you put a character on those things, something licensed,
Yeah.
it's ridiculous how much money. And then I'm like, don't you dare take that apart. We pay, okay, just me. Did you know today's National Kissing Day? Let's move.
Oh,
Did you know?
Wow,
I know,
wow.
right?
I was hoping you were going to bring that up.
Get over here, Whit.
They're already celebrating over here. But speaking of National Kissing, how often do you get some time, with the one you love and without the kids? Like, do you make that time for the
Didn't you have a friend that you were somebody's Viagra friend or something?
Oh yeah,
What?
Where are we going? When I was in my 20s and I worked at NBC, I had a friend who we called me Viagra Patrol. I'd show up at her house, so she and her husband, like, I'd take the girls
Oh
out
my God.
to a park or something like that,
Yeah.
and she was they were so honest about it. I loved it because she's like, Viagra Patrol is here, and I knew what they were doing when I took the kids, but do you
Make time.
make time, and do your kids see you making time?
Is that a euphemism or?
Do you go
What
up and right
positions
click?
do you use to make time?
How often do you right click? And are you,
How often are we brown cowing? It's a kind of like a catch as catch can thing. You know what I mean?
But I don't necessarily just mean about sex, but like, do you
How do you keep
do you
the
have date
romance alive?
night? Do you,
Sometimes it's like a grind, and it's like, whoa,
Well.
it's been a bit. I've been like really concentrating on work. Let's go do a date night.
I totally went a whole other way with that.
Okay,
Sorry.
grind.
I'm like,
There we go.
wow.
Yeah, you got to use the pelvis and stuff like that. It's all about angle, really.
Yeah.
I've read books. That's all I'm saying. Wits
AM
and Davids.
radio will never be the same again. No, but you got. I mean, I know for me, my kids are 8, 9, and 11, and 5 years ago, I would have been okay if my husband never came near me. It was just like, hi, co-parent. You go through phases. He is my favorite person in the world. Like, I love spending time with him. I love, even if it's in the backyard with a drink, just spending time together now. And we make sure that the kids know, like, no, this is not we love you and we'll do everything for you. But right now, this is not about you.
We do
even
the same thing, but when we say this is time for me and your mom to like hang out, and even if it's just sitting together on the couch, but they don't care.
Yeah.
They still.
Oh no, yeah. they definitely don't care.
Yeah. So we still get interrupted. But yeah, I mean, we do that. We try to make time, and we try to do it every night. We try to say, guys, look, this is it's usually bedtime.
Yeah.
Stay in bed
Yeah.
because this is the only time we get to hang out. And we
Oh,
still-
that's when they come out. So
Yeah, yeah.
Speaking of time, look at Speaking of time, it's time to go to break. So stay tuned. 661-298-5487. Broadcast on KHTS.
back on the air.
Peter, are we back?
Yeah, that's what you were asking.
No, even Peter, our producer, is so caught up in
It is a great show.
It is a fun show. We got to have you guys on every week.
Okay, so I have a pet peeve. when men talk about, oh, you're going to put this on camera. When men talk about babysitting their children. What? No, you don't do that, or is that a pet
What do you
peeve of
mean?
yours?
Well,
so
no.
men will say, I have to babysit my child,
Uh-huh.
as opposed to I'm going to parent and I'm going to be with my kid or I'm going to watch my kid.
Right.
Like, I really drives me up the wall.
There's some peers that are gonna like hate me for saying this, but I've used the word out of convenience. Just like while I was talking with somebody, like I'm on
I'm outta here.
babysitting duty. But I mean, like, how do I distinguish that from like I'm on active kid carrying mode? It's just like, sorry, babysitting is just like a shorter word. But when somebody else refers to me as like, oh, you're babysitting your son, it's like, oh.
Remember that filter
trouble.
conversation we had?
Yeah. Remember?
just cover it up. Cover it up.
Yeah. So
Anyway, so-
babysitting.
It's an insult.
See, I don't
really.
hear it from men so much. I hear it from other people talking to them, like, "Oh, you have your kids today. You're babysitting today." And
Right.
you're like, well, no, I'm a dad and I'm at the store. This isn't babysitting. This is life.
Yeah.
But do you ever notice though, for dads, there's either one of two things. They treat you like, even in marketing, like you are an idiot, like the Ray Romano. Everybody loves Raymond. Like, oh, I have these children, I don't know what to do. Or you.
That was a great Ray Romano.
so great. I mean, it was like your face changed.
Or you show up for open house night and there's a parade because isn't he such
Because
a
the
great
dad came.
dad?
Yeah.
You
Exactly.
I
change
think-
a diaper and it's like.
There's a lot of conversation in the dad blogger community about those two things. And as far as the advertising goes, Zach Rosenberg from 8-Bit Dad does a roundup. He's done 2 now, right? Where he looks at commercials over the course of the year and tracks with all these analytics, like which ones represented dads most realistically. And it's a great report, but it's a cool roundup to see how advertisers still don't get it. They still
Right.
don't get that, that dads aren't idiots. And we are, involved.
Some are. I mean,
some are.
Yeah.
like
Ray
some
Romano.
moms,
Yeah.
You want to think? No.
But then, as far as like when you are the only dad that shows up, like I've been in that situation, and thankfully I've never had it's so cool for you to show up. It's been it's been a situation where it's been too busy, but that stuff upsets me too because it's people playing into it, not advertisers.
Yeah,
people
cultural.
Are playing, yeah.
Because it wasn't like that. And, I just want to take a quick side. My dad, I'm one of 13 kids. My dad had 11 children with my mom. My mom died of breast cancer when she was 39. My dad was 38 years old. He remarried a year later, a former nun, which, yes, this is a real story.
Oh my gosh.
But my dad has coached football, baseball. He was there when I told the story about a year ago, but when I was in my 20s, I worked in television news in Boston, and I was living in my own apartment, but I went to my parents' house for dinner or something and just to say hi, and I was telling him about this hit I got, and he said it was great, when you go around second, and he started to give me a tip, and I said, what are you talking about? My dad was in the parking lot. Because I was in my 20s, he didn't want to embarrass me, which he wouldn't have, but and I'm the 11th kid. Mm-hmm. So dads have been showing up, and like you talked to your dad earlier, and my dad now, he's diabetic and has rheumatoid arthritis, and he now has Alzheimer's, and he's really struggling. And I just, I would be remiss if I did not mention, you guys are showing up. You guys are doing it. You guys are making fatherhood, a passion, a job, all of that. But some guys have been doing that, since the 50s when my dad first started, and just the dedication in men. And and I applaud you guys, and I applaud my own dad for just being there. And it's not always on the floor playing the Legos, but being a role model, being an example, saying sometimes I screw up, sometimes I'm not the man I want to be, but we're all a work in progress, And I just, I want to say Happy Father's Day to my own father because I love you, Dad. So, that's all. Do you guys are your dads? You're all your dads are living? Yes? No?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
Do you, is there something that your dads did that you're like, I am absolutely going to
I have this thing.
follow that?
My dad, I remember when my parents were divorced when I was really young, and we were over at his place, and he was hand making pasta. And he loves to cook. And I have told my boys, I want us to make pasta one time together because it's super hard to do the way he was doing it, but the activity of it looked like so much fun. I remember it being so much fun. So I want to try that. It's probably going to be a disaster.
Those things always look more fun. What about you?
I think my dad was always really firm with discipline, But the time that I screwed up the most, according to the law, my dad was really cool. You know, I was terrified. I was so terrified of facing my father, more so than getting in trouble at school or any sort of legal issues. I was afraid of what would happen when my dad found out. And I went home, and he just hugged me, and that was it.
That's amazing.
And that was great.
Respond, not react. So you got about 10 seconds to.
My dad, despite being a workaholic, built me a treehouse, and it was so magnificent. Not the treehouse, just that I had this little cube that was like 15 feet.
The
20
first
feet.
man cave.
Yeah, I lived in it for like a month. Like I actually slept in it for a month.
Wow.
So I want to do that for my boys.
Well, happy Father's Day to all of you.
Thank you guys so much for coming in and bearing with all of our stuff
Andy
in here.
Herald, Whit, Honea, and David Vienna, and also Fred Goldman, who is at the top of the show. Happy Father's Day. We really appreciate your thoughts and insight, and hope you'll be on again.
Thanks for having us.
Okay. That's it for us.